Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Got several things to cover today. It's been a long week. Been very busy with my personal life, taking care of stuff, so I haven't been able to post in a while. So we got lots to cover. The most intriguing here is Liberal operatives plan to stop the steel buttons at Conservative conference. Two Liberal Party staffers attended last week's Canada Strong and Free Networking CSFN conference, where they planted buttons that used Trump-style language and highlight division within the Conservative Party. There is nothing that the Liberals will not do to try to get the upper hand, whether it's having the pollsters poll in areas that benefit them. And I'm surprised this is a CBC article. So, bought and paid for by the Liberals. Right there. All of it. This took mad planning too. Like, this isn't just, oh, let's make some buttons and throw them on the table. They had to procure these from somewhere. Took some time, took some planning, it took some cash flow. It just goes to show that Mark Carney will stop at nothing to pretend to win the next election, as China already has him as a shoe-in.
Difficult situations. Stephen Harper appointed me governor of the Bank of Canada. I worked closely with the late and great Jim Flaherty during the financial crisis. We resolved a number of situations. Many people are familiar with that experience. I note that Pierre Poilievre was not at any of those tables, was not given any of that responsibilities, and note further that in subsequent years, he has not gained any responsibility in managing crises or.
And another good one here from Danielle Smith. I love every time she speaks. It's like the best feeling ever. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I've noticed this with progressive men, how much they talk about how much they support women until they meet a strong conservative woman. And so this is a pretty consistent type of approach that I've seen, not only from the current prime minister, but the former one as well. And the attitude is sit down and shut up. Well, I don't shut up. I make sure that Albertans know exactly how I feel about issues. And I'm going to continue advocating on behalf of my province, whether he likes it or not.
You go, girl. And that's what we need more of. Why is she the only premier getting on news networks, on social media networks, YouTube, X? She's the only premier standing up for Canada. All the other ones are standing up for a tariff war, which is in line with the coalition of the Chinese Communist Party. All it is collusion between Mark Carney and Beijing. So, this guy here, the press ginger, he made a really good video talking about the secession.
Following the situation in Canada with the Canadian election happening on April 28th and the overwhelming sentiment, at least on Polymarket and some of the other betting sites, along with pollsters saying Mark Carney is clearly the favorite over Pierre Poilievre. He's got around an 80% chance. You can see 78 to 22. Now they've got it to where it's a province by province thing, and you can see the more conservative provinces, Alberta, certainly going to be voting for Poilievre, Saskatchewan as well, Manitoba, about a 67% chance for conservatives, and British Columbia now trending to the Liberals. Not surprising there. But overall, just taking a look at the seats, they've got the Liberals with around 174. They've got the Conservatives at 137, at 172 for the majority. And so Liberals would get the majority in this scenario.
Like I said, all these polls, all that is just to have it in everybody's head. Well, they're winning in the polls. Of course, they're going to win when it comes election time, even though Pierre's rallies are 10 times the size, 100 times the size of any other one. Not likely. And the only other reason would be because of this right here, how much seats these two provinces win. We already know who's going to win the election by the time the votes are cast over here, because they have so many seats here, which is just garbage. And that's why Western Canada has always wanted to separate. The equalization payments going over there, and they get to choose who's the leader because of how many seats they have. It's garbage. That needs to change. Another thing that I feel that needs to change is the amount or the length and term that a prime minister sits in the seat. which I strongly believe should be like the US, 2 consecutive terms or 1 concurrent term and then 2 consecutive terms for a max of 3 terms. You should be able to serve 3 terms, but no more than 2 consecutive, if that makes sense. So I strongly feel that Canada should have been the same way a long time ago, no more than 2 consecutive terms for Prime Minister of Canada. No one should be in power for more than 2 terms. Anyway, moving on. So we're touching on a little bit of the US stuff just to go to show that how involved Canada is with China.
Concerned about retaliation from China.
I'm not worried about retaliation from China. We will stand on our own merits. Peace through strike matters. We represent our interests, put America first.
This is what Canada needs to be doing. This is what Danielle Smith's doing. And they should be doing it against everybody else, not the US.
President Trump is staring them down on trade. We will reestablish deterrence as well.
Right? Doug Ford. This is
Stand from the president of General Motors that I spoke to. It's going to be about 500 employees. Has nothing to do with the tariffs, he said. The volume is not there. People are not purchasing like they thought they would. So they have thousands of vehicles sitting there. We're going to make sure we support the workers and make sure that we get government, especially Canada Post, to pick up some of these vehicles because that's what it's geared for. What I understand.
That's hilarious. Get Canada Post to pick up some of these vehicles. Yeah, right. They're probably EVs. And of course they're laying off because it's so much cheaper for them to go and reopen their manufacturings down in Michigan and Detroit, like they already are. Here we go. China retaliates with 125% tariffs on U.S. goods. Who's the ones that are retaliating on U.S.? Canada, China. UK was supposed to, but I think they backed down because they knew better. EU or UK, one of the two or both of them. I think it was supposed to be the EU, China, and Canada as the 3 main parties retaliating on tariffs, and I think the EU backed down, but maybe the UK didn't. Again, it's been about a week. However, China and Canada still are the only 2 retaliating with tariffs. They're the only ones with massive tariffs against them, and gee, I wonder why. Globalist World Economic Forum, globalist elitists, all having ties with the World Economic Forum, pushing policies to better themselves and not their people or their country. Mark Carney gets in. Donald Trump wants nothing to do with him. He'll just come and take Canada from him before he hands it over to the Chinese. He has no choice. He's not going to let Canada become a part of the Chinese or the World Economic Forum. So Liberals get in, doing us a favor. Either Alberta, Saskatchewan, Western Canada separates, or Trump just comes in, makes Canada 51st state because he can't have Canada become separated or divided, let alone infiltrated to the maximum by the World Economic Forum, by these globalists, and as well China. All Mark Carney is going to do is turn around and be like, yeah, here you go, Mr. Xi Jinping, whatever his name is, Mr. Beijing. Here you go. Start flying the Chinese flag. So, hashtag 51st. But again, as long as all these people are smart enough to go and vote for conservative, we don't have to worry about the 51st state. We don't have to worry about tariffs. And we don't have to worry about Chinese government taking over our country. It's really easy, people. I don't know why we still got to talk about it for weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months on end.
Ang joins me here in New York City. Obvious question, Gordon. Who suffers the most in this trade war, China or the United States?
Well, China does. First of all, its economy is probably contracting. We saw this from the price data for March, where both consumer and producer prices were below zero. Also, the thing is, they're having their 2008 right now. You know, in 2008, they didn't want a downturn. They overstimulated, took on a lot of debt. Now they got to deal with the debt. Property market is collapsing. And then Trump says, we're having this tariff war. And what this does is it really closes off China's biggest market, the United States. So these 145% tariffs, most Chinese goods don't get into the U.S. because of that. Now, the only way that Xi Jinping can win this trade war is if he can convince President Trump, who's holding all the high cards from an objective point of view. The only way Xi Jinping wins is if he can get Wall Street or Main Street or the farmers to force Trump to back down preemptively. I don't think that's going to happen because our president's pretty determined.
Could he unleash, Xi Jinping, could he unleash financial warfare? China holds $760 billion worth of treasury debt. If they sell some of it, prices go down and our interest rates go up. He could do that.
He could do that, but he probably not going to because that has a lot of effect on the renminbi. Remember, he wants to sell U.S. dollar debt because he needs to prop up his currency, but he needs to do it in a controlled manner. If he crashes the U.S. dollar, which he probably could do, it's lights out for him. So I don't think he's going to do that. He's got a lot more vulnerabilities than we do. We're the bigger economy. We're the trade deficit economy. We hold the high cards.
Now, Xi Jinping is about to embark on a tour of Southeast Asia, touring his neighbors. He's looking for support, isn't he? He wants them to gang up with Xi Jinping against America. Is that going to happen?
I don't really think so. The problem...
Yeah, they can try. He's already got Canada in his back pocket, UK, so we'll see. We'll see. I don't think China has any cards in their pocket until our election's over and they just hand over the crown to Mark Carney again. Like I said, it's already predetermined. There is no election. It's Mark Carney's going to win. However, if we can get enough people out there to vote conservative, make it too big to rig, hopefully, we get our democracy back. Otherwise, goodbye democracy, goodbye Canada as we know it. Well, pull your head out your ass and fucking figure your shit out because I am so sick of this and so sick of seeing so many people that are all for the Liberals. Like, go Mark Carney, go Mark Carney. It has nothing to do with Trump. The Liberals put the narrative on Trump. Anyway, thanks for coming out. Thanks for tuning in. If you made it through the end of the video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring that bell for notifications for up-to-date and latest videos coming out. Thank you for coming. Bye for now.